Hi and welcome back to FreeEduHub. Today we'll learn the installation of Windows 10 using the latest version of VirtualBox, which is 7.0.6. Now the reason why we are doing it is that there have been some changes since the previous video was on version 6. This one has some additional features, and then we are installing it in perspective of cloud computing. So I'll show you how can you enable IIS, which is Internet Information Services, in order to host your website or your applications on your own web server, and I'll show you how you can enable Hyper-V on the computer so that you can run virtual machines on it. So VirtualBox is a free software which is available on virtualbox.org. It's a product of Oracle. If you want to download it, click on this downloads button over here. It will take you to the page where you can download different variants related to Windows operating system, Mac, Linux, Solaris, depending what kind of platform you have, you can download it. And I would highly recommend to download this VirtualBox extension pack as well. It will give lots of additional features to your computer, just like connecting a USB drive and extended the hard drives and rest of the things. So once you'll install it, it would look something like this one. Click on help, go to about. You can see that's the latest version of VirtualBox, and I have even installed the plugins or the extension pack on this one. As you can see, extension, this is the extension pack available for that. So in order to use it, you can install any operating system. As you can see, we have installed some legacy operating systems starting from Windows 2.1 all the way to the latest Windows 11. If you want to see installation videos of these operating systems, you can find it on our channel. Now if we'll try to install Windows from the scratch, so what we'll do is that we'll click on this new button over here, and then we'll select the operating system name. For example, we are installing Windows 10, sorry. Now as you can see, I have selected the name. It's better not to give any space, otherwise it creates certain problems. Then you can select the folder where you're creating your virtual machines. In my case, I'm saving all of them over here, so I have selected the path. Deliberately, I'm not selecting the ISO image. You can select it from here as well if you have an image of Windows or the ISO file. But I have seen that in certain cases, if you'll select a version and it has different variants like Home Edition, Professional and others, it won't select it or it won't give you an option to select which version you want to install. So I'll select it later. Just press next. Here you can select the RAM and the CPUs that you want to allocate to this machine. Since I have 32 gigs of RAM on this machine, so I'm allocating around about 8 gigs to this virtual machine. I'll keep one CPU for this virtual machine and then press next. Further, I'll give 30 GB to this virtual machine. Press next. I'm not changing anything over here and press finish. Now as you can see, you have the options that you have selected over here for this virtual machine. If you want to make the changes to this one, go to settings and you can further modify the settings here. In our case it's fine, so I'll simply press start so that we can start the virtual machine. As you can see, I didn't select the ISO file earlier, so it's asking me to select the DVD. You can click other over here and select the ISO file that you have saved on your computer. So after selecting the ISO file, I'll click on mount and retry boot. Okay, as you can see, Windows is installed. Now we want to add certain functionalities through insert guest additional CD image. We'll click on it and then we'll click start, and then we'll go to this PC, and you can see this virtual drive is attached. You can double click on it and you can select the version like this one, Windows additional features, press yes and install it. It would get the drivers from your host machine as well as rest of the things like sharing USB and stuff, and then it would restart the machine. Now as you can see, after restart it's in complete desktop mode. Now in order to install IIS and Hyper-V, we'll do the following steps. We are doing it for a cloud environment virtualization. So in order to check which version of Windows have we installed, so you can see that it's Windows 10 Professional. So only in Windows 10 Professional you'll see an option of Hyper-V available. So first of all, we'll go to the control panel and select this one as large icons. Then you can go to programs and features, and then you can turn on Windows features on or off. Once you'll click on it, you'll be able to see both options: Internet Information Services, IIS, which is a web server. So if you want to host any applications which is ASP.NET, PHP or anything, we put them in our web server, which is IIS, and we run it from there. And if you want to install Hyper-V, we can select on this option. Further, if you want to select other options, you can check in this one. Hyper-V services and other things will be installed as well. Same thing, if you want to add any additional features to your IIS, you can click on it and select the options which are compatible to your applications. Once that's done, press OK, and it would install both things together. And it's asking for a restart, so let's restart. So now the PC has restarted. In order to check what things have been installed, so we'll go to control panel, then we'll go to administrative tools, and as you can see, IIS and Hyper-V is available over here. So let's move them to the desktop so that we can get the shortcuts on the desktop and check them. First of all, IIS. So IIS is available over here, and you can see it's running at the moment. By clicking on this one, you can even restart the services by managing the website, restart, etc. If you want to host any of the files, you'll put it in here, and you'll see that if we'll go to C drive, you have inet pub folder over here, which indicates that you can put your files in www root directory. Now in order to check if our IIS is working or not, you'll click your browser which is installed on your computer, and then continue without data, and then we'll click on localhost and press enter. There you go, it's showing you that your IIS, which is Internet Information Service, is running on this computer. Now as you can see, IIS is working, but if we'll host any application in this one, I want to make sure that it's accessible on the network. So in a cloud environment, if you want to set it up on your computer, we'll have to make certain changes on VirtualBox itself. So we'll go to the settings of VirtualBox, then we'll click on network. By default it's NAT, so we'll change it to host only adapter, and then we'll press OK. So now it would change its IP address on the machine. So in order to check that, we'll go to the control panel, we'll go to the command prompt, and then type ipconfig. Now you can see an IP address over here, which is 192.168.56.104. So in order to check the reachability from the host machine to this virtual machine, I'll run a prompt like this. Is my command prompt from my Windows 11 machine, and if I'll type in ping and then the IP address of this one, which is 192.168.56.104, as you can see, I'm getting a reply. It means that my host machine, which is Windows 11, can reach this virtual machine. So now if I'll go to browser and I'll type in the same IP address 192.168.56.104 and press enter. So that's how you can access your IIS, which is installed in your virtual machine. You can access it from rest of the computers on the network. I am accessing this browser which is on my host machine, and I am able to reach the website which is hosted on my virtual machine by its IP address. So if you are in a network environment and you want to host any websites or anything on your web server which is hosted within the network, you can set up IIS yourself. Now we'll talk about Hyper-V, which is Hyper-V Manager. We just showed you how can we install Hyper-V on your computer. So in order to create a virtual machine, you'll click on this new over here and select a virtual machine. Then you'll press next. You can name the operating system. For example, we'll type Windows 11. You can press next. You can select the generation type of it, then press next. You can define the RAM you want to allocate for this virtual machine. We want to give around 4 GB of RAM to this virtual machine. Press next. It's asking if you want it to be connected to the network or not. Press next. Here it is asking where you want to store your virtual machine, and then how much space you want to allocate to this virtual machine. I'm selecting 30, and then press next. If you have an ISO file, you can select it from here and then press next. It would create the setup for that virtual machine and press finish. So your virtual machine would be ready over here. We have not started it, so that if you want to click and edit rest of the settings, you can do it from here and start the installation of Windows. Now I'm showing it just on the virtual machine for the testing purposes. It's never recommended to install a virtual machine within a virtual machine. So if you want to install any virtual machine, make sure you're installing it on a desktop computer, on a laptop, where you can dedicate the resources to the virtual machine. I'm showing it just for the testing purposes. So we discussed about Hyper-V, how can we install it, and then we even saw how can we set up IIS, which is Internet Information Services, on our virtual machine. So that's how the systems work in a virtualized environment. It's a complete operating system with all the features available. You can allocate the resources to your virtual machine and then use those virtual resources through the cloud services. That's it for today. Thank you very much.